Marvel Comics' massive X-Men suite of titles is finally approaching a conclusion to the long-running Krakoan era. In the meantime, several prominent X-Men have tried to band a resistance together led by Emma Frost in order to strike back against the anti-mutant group known as Orchis. In today's issue of X-Men 34, readers are able to witness our team of underground X-Men try and strike back against the mysterious character known as M.O.D.O.K. My name is Arico Brannock, and today, let's go ahead and preview the latest issue of Marvel Comics' long-running X-Men series. But before we get deeper into the video, I want to encourage you to consider subscribing over to the channel. The end is nigh. The Krakoan age is nearly at an end, and what might be the final battle of the heroes of Krakoa. One last stop before the fall and rise come to the conclusion, and everything changes. X-Men 34 is still written by Gerry Duggan, featuring artwork by Joshua Cassara. The colors in the issue are coming in from Romulo Fajardo Jr. We have letters from VC's Clayton, Cowles, and design from Tom Muller and Bowen. In addition, here we have a tremendous and triumphant cover for the issue, also illustrated over from Joshua Cassara, featuring colors from Marte. I really think there's something just melancholy and epic about the stoic ways that mutants like Professor Xavier are all huddled around the Krakoan tree on this beautiful cover for X-Men 34. And I want to extend a quick thank you to Adventures in Poor Taste and preview some of the beautiful interior pages coming in from Joshua Cassara. I was so struck upon the first glance when checking out these preview pages on this issue of X-Men, because I think it's so interesting the way that this issue actually references some of the previous plot details with Professor Xavier in one of the most recent issues of Rise of the Powers of 10. X-Men 34 also beautifully introduces the character of M.O.D.O.K back into the narrative, who's also been colluding with some of the Orchis rogues for such a long time. In this issue, M.O.D.O.K actually ends up using some of the DNA with these Orchis agents to create really tense scenarios for the X-Men characters. There's even a great moment of humor captured beautifully by artist Joshua Cassara, emphasizing the Daily Bugle approaching one of these monstrosities that was first launched by M.O.D.O.K within the course of the issue. Over in X-Men 34, I really found that artist Joshua Cassara did so many interesting things with negative space, extending to this page that we have on the screen here, showcasing M.O.D.O.K in the background, really enjoying himself. Also, late within the context of X-Men 34, there is such a beautiful pair of pages featuring Laura Kinney over as Wolverine captured in negative space that does a great job really building on some of the tension from the scene just through the negative space alone over in the comic book issue here. In addition to detailing a super epic fight between M.O.D.O.K, Miss Marvel, as well as Laura Kinney, I think this issue also highlights some of those really long-running X-Men plot threads that have been building in the back of this comic book series for such a considerable amount of time. Specifically here, the thread over with Synch and Talon is referenced in all of its heartbreaking glory within some of the final pages of this particular chapter here. Also, for me, one of the most important aspects of this issue of X-Men is actually the other version of Wolverine having a really tense conversation with Kitty Pryde. I found that the final pages of X-Men 34 were filled with a sense of just epic melancholy that really provoked the issue towards a fascinating close here. I'm super interested if any of Kitty's super tense conversations with Wolverine are actually going to end up setting up the end of the Krakoan era, or maybe the beginning of the From the Ashes status quo over with these two characters. In addition, I think the way that Joshua Cassara was able to illustrate the final page on X-Men 34 captured such a gruff aesthetic for Wolverine that fits so nicely within the greater context of Krakoa and really brings out the humor elements in Gerry Duggan's script surprisingly well, considering how dark this context of the issue is here. So at the end of the day, I really think that X-Men 34 is yet another tremendous issue of the series, doing a great job picking up on so many individual plot threads throughout the issue. The way that this comic book is immediately able to comment on the cliffhanger regarding Rise of the Powers of 10 is so fascinating. I also found the way that Emma Frost was able to communicate with some of the mutants operating over in the Resistance is so fascinating. Late within the context of the issue, we got so many great sequences over between Synch and Talon as well. I want to know from you, what are some of your thoughts over on X-Men 34? Did you appreciate the really sharp characterization and really subtle use of plot threads as much as I did? And what are some of your thoughts on that really tense conversation between Kitty and Wolverine? Thank you so much for coming to check out our video review over on X-Men 34. And we'll be back to detail the end of the Krakoan era as soon as the next comic book title is released. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.